from Australia. No one knows them in England, but they're coming here. They're going to do one gig. I really want them to go into the studio. And we had a meeting this morning, and they categorically said they would not work with anybody at all, except for the guy who did Flowers of Romance. They loved the Flowers of Romance.
Wow.
And so he basically tracked down, because my name isn't even on the Flowers of Romance. That's not true. There's some copies where Keith Levine, God bless him, was pissed off that my name wasn't on it, because it was all not organised and stuff, and he got them to repress it. And it just says, in tiny, very gothic red blood letters, it says, this album is made by Nick Launay. It's incredible. It's really, really good. Anyway, so so he told me about this, and I said, well, what do they sound like? And he said, I don't know if I can describe what they sound like, but I'll send you this live recording of the song that I want them to do, that I've heard live, and it's great. And it's called Release the Bats. So I get this cassette of, and it's just like, damn, bites, wow. It's all this kind of, and talk about, bats and vampires and stuff, and it was just all this, it wasn't really a song, it was just this sort of, just these toms, and it was a really bad recording, and but it had some sense to it. Anyway, so I loved it. I just thought it was great, and I particularly liked the fact that it was called Release the Bats. So I said, yeah, I'd love to do it, and so he said, well, I'm not sure I can afford the townhouse. It's a very expensive studio, something like $1,000 a day back then, which is a lot of money. And I said, well, I don't know how to work anywhere else. I've never been to another studio. I said, I have to do it here. I can't do what the Flowers of Romance sound anywhere else. It's very particular to this room. And he said, well, what can we do? And I said, let me talk to the manager. Maybe she'll give me a discount. I went, and she said, her name was Penny Robinson, and she said, can't give you a discount, we're totally booked up. The only way you could do this is if you start at midnight. And I thought, well, that's not a problem for me. So I told Ivo, and I said, if we start at midnight, we get half price. And he said, that's perfect. He said, I don't think I've seen them during the day. Bear in mind, I had no idea what they looked like. I knew nothing about them. All I had was that cassette. That's it. I knew nothing. So, studio time was booked. This is what's crazy. During the day, I was an assistant working with Phil Collins, with Hugh Pettit on another. So then, 11 o'clock, packed everything up. I set things up for this band I'd never met. The phone rings, the receptionist, and she said, "Here, Nick, can you come up here? Because I think it's one of your bands, and you've got to come up right now because they're scaring people." And I was like, "What?" She said, "Yeah, they look really weird." And then, so I went up, and it's this long corridor to the reception, and so I turned, and there they are, and they've all got suits on, and the hair, the crazy hair, and eyeliner, and they look like vampires. I just thought, fucking hell, they look amazing. And I was like, and I looked so geeky back then, and I look geeky now probably, but I really was a punk rock geek. I definitely was not wearing black, let's put it that way. And so they probably looked at me and went, who the fuck is this kid? They probably thought I was the assistant, right? And so anyway, I met them and I said, I'm Nick Launay, and they definitely were like, what? And lots of mumbling between them, and we went down and set up really quickly. I got the drum sound, and as soon as they heard that drum sound, they were just like, fuck, this is great. And recorded 2 songs that night called Release the Bats and Blast Off, which was the B-side. And it was unbelievable working with them because they were, intense. Nick is very intense. Mick Hart, they're all intense people, but they're incredible people. They're so characterful and they know what they want, and they had a very particular idea of